Right, okay, so let's get to this, the Qadiani thing, people. Right. Okay, I gotta give you the backdrop. Right, this is the backdrop. Es muy importante. Okay, it's muy importante. Because you have to understand why I'm clarifying on the Qadianis. So, people, over the past few days, I have been getting trolled. By who? By the Qadianis. Yeah, this is embarrassing to say, but I've got to, okay, give you guys the backdrop. So, some Qadiani guy made a video about me. This is so embarrassing, getting trolled and bullied online by Qadiani. This is like getting bullied by a librarian. किसी को मुंह दिखाने के लायक नहीं रहा यार. क्या करें? I'm like, this one too much, you know, this one. So I've got like some nerds bullying me. It's like, yaar, confidence to dekho. It's like, look at the confidence these people have. So anyway, what's happened is some Qadiani decide to make a video. For no reason, I have not been picking on Qadianis. I have not been picking on Qadianis. I have even called in the past to tell people, and I still support that, I'm against oppression and persecution and all that kind of stuff of anybody, right? And I've said that about Qadianis as well. But out of the blue, some guy just thought, I know, here's Mufti Abu Layth. I don't know why he thought that. He's either never watched any of my refutation videos. Never, Sonia. This is the. So he's decided to make a video saying. And in fact, you know what? If I can bring up a brief clip on YouTube. Now, he made this video just saying that, look, Mufti Abu Layth, and this is the dumb thing, he's trying to roast me in it. Okay, he's not trying to cuss roast, because obviously for that you need a sense of humor. And if you had a sense of humor like that, then you wouldn't, you obviously couldn't follow that Messiah, but I'm going to get to that in a moment, right? So so he says that, look, basically half the time he's saying anything good I've said or anything interesting, he's saying I've taken it from them. Acha, shabash. So everything I'm saying that makes sense. Oh yeah, he took this from us, but we explain this better than he does. And everything, so for example, he says, oh, I've said that there's going to be no second coming of Jesus, let's say. He says, oh, he took this from the Qadianis. Acha. I took this from the Qadianis, did I? Even though I've got a video explaining that the whole Messiah concept is what gave rise to the Qadianis. But he says, oh, look, anything like when I've said, look, there's no apostasy. Sorry, there's no ruling for, as in, you know, you don't kill the apostates and things like this. So he said, oh, he plays that clip and he says, we agree here with him. But basically, I'm somehow taking this from them as well. But they still explain it better. And then he just keeps, he takes, and then he just does like loads of what that Sunni defense were doing. I think he just took the video. Here's this guy, Mufti Abu Layth, saying tattoos are not haram. Here he's saying this is not haram. Here he's not. Oh, what a deviant. What, they're calling me a deviant. Yeah. Kya ho raha hai, boss? They're calling me a deviant. The Qadianis are calling me a deviant. I'm just shocked, but this is the. Look at this, guys. So this is the guy, right? I'll just show a brief clip of him.
He brought the last religion. He brought the last Sharia and is the last law-bearing prophet. As for the books Abu Layth quoted, only denies the concept of law-bearing.
Oh my God. Right.
Then his final claim, he goes on to saying,
that voice. Yes. But anyway, then they repeatedly tagged me into this clip. And then I just said, look, this is so dumb, but they wouldn't let me be. So, okay, I said to them, look, if you carry on, people, I'm going to respond to you guys. So anyway, that was the background. Then they trolled me. They came, so many of these Qadians came onto my posts on Instagram and they made all these comments. Within something like a few hours, I must have had to block something like 40 of them, something like that. And then over the following days, they continued to troll me. I couldn't believe this, yeah. Right, so this is just taking the mix. So anyway, I said, look, okay, hold your horses, people. Yeah, I will. So one of them started emailing me. And he started asking me these, it's me. I said, who are you? Introduce yourself. I'm the one who did this and about this video and this and this and this. Yeah, I don't even know who you are. You're not introducing it. I've got no idea. And so obviously, you know, if you're going to wind me up. So I just said to them, look, okay, legitimate question. I said, okay, here's a sincere question. Was Mirza Ghulam Qadiani an inbred? Okay, sorry people, but but that's what you're gonna get if you provoke people like me. This is obviously gonna happen. Then he was like, look, oh my god, I'm gonna share these emails. I was like, why are you gonna share them? I will share it, yaar. Aap kahe ko takleef utha rahe hain, janab? I will share it. Anyway, so put that all aside. So people have asked, what is this Qadiani thing? What is the backdrop? Let's explain about Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani Sahib. Right, so people, first of all, right, I'm going to come back to those of you wondering who he is. I printed off of Islam, but you might want to see his picture closer still. So the bloody good looking fella, honestly. God damn, honestly. Wow. Yeah. This is bloody good looking guy, mashallah. Oof. What? Right, so this is him. Now, born in 1839 in Punjab, in Qadian, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. Now, I wasn't taking the mick out of, but he does, that is him. I'm not, yeah, honestly, I'm not, this, I had some people say to me, I had this one lady, this one girl, messaging me, telling me how she's a convert to Qadianism. And she said, I used to be a Sunni Muslim, but I left and I became a Qadiani. So I just said, okay, good for you. And she was like, you watch what Allah is going to do to you, this. So I said to her, look, listen, okay, out of curiosity then, Chalo, I'll engage you. I said, I just want to know, do you seriously, like, I want to really know, do you really believe it? Do you really believe in it? Do you really believe in him? Really? And she said, yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, alhamdulillah. Gotta play the both roles in it. Let me, I don't know whether she added the patta, but let's, yeah, alhamdulillah, dude. So anyway, I said, so okay, so do you believe that God spoke to our... And she said, yeah, I believe God spoke to him. I said, in Punjabi. I said, do you really believe that God spoke to Ghulam Qadiani, to Mirza Qadiani in Punjabi? Do you believe that? So she said, well, what's wrong? Why? What's the problem with that? So I said, look, let me get this right, people. In an age of tyranny and vicious evil, that has encapsulated the globe and manifested it as colonialism, with mass genocide taking place, the butchering and robbing of resources, and humanity has plunged into a time of suffering. God decides to break his laws of nature and intervene in free will. I mean, one is the belief that, okay, God doesn't intervene then, he lets humans be responsible. But God decides to break those laws and intervene. Again, he's going to intervene, people. And he intervenes by having a chat with some guy in Punjabi. That's the plan. Are you for real? That is the divine plan. That God's just going to have a chat with some guy in Punjabi. And that's it. Like, there's no change. Wasn't there supposed to be some change here? This is like the darkest times that humanity are going through, of suffering. And, since you're going to intervene anyway, but rather than just having a chat in Punjabi, God says, okay, da. Oh, balle. Right, so the thing is, anyway, but then, God chooses, obviously, the most handsome of Punjab. Oh, Sada Punjab. So God chooses, obviously, the most. Oh, guys, I've got something for you. If there was ever somebody that could rival, right, Ghulam Qadiani in his... I got a printout. There was ever somebody that could rival in aesthetically, in divinely given looks. Have you guys heard of smart? Because this one is smart. Smart. Smart is like well dressed. Smart. Smart. Have you heard of this guy, by the way? He's like a social media legend. His name is, this is him. His name is Smart Hariram Serial Kisser. I'm not making this up. Honestly, his name is Serial Kisser. It's Smart Hariram. Hariram, I'm telling you honestly, is his posts. I took some. Let me just one moment, people, and then I'm going to carry on. Don't worry, I'm going to carry on with the. But I gotta share some of this with you. I got to, man. I got to. This is, people, this is Smart Hariram. And here he is again. If ever somebody could rival Hariram Serial Kisser, right? in gleaming good look. So here he is again in his photoshopped, and he says, look, friends, today I tell you one secret. Girl Dagot proposed me one time, but I said no. I said Hariram is no marriage to women, only please women. She smiles and said she is not women's. Her name is Gal. I said, okay, Gal, but I am not your boy. Hashtag serial kisser. Hashtag Hariram. So, Ghulam Hariram Qadiani. This is, and the reason why, Hariram is not an insult, because later on you're going to learn in a moment. Hariram Qadiani Sahab actually claimed to be an incarnation of Krishna ji later on. Krishna, I'm not making I'm going to quote the sources, yaar. I'm not making this stuff. You guys don't believe me. This is the problem, you naughty. So let's get on to a bit of facts about who was Ghulam Qadiani Sahib, aka Hariram. Right, so he's born in 1839 in Punjab. Now, I want to mention something. A lot of Qadianis will say that, oh, he did not claim to be a prophet. Some people will say this to you. And they will quote you his books. Right, now, the interesting thing is that's partially true. That's a half-truth. Half-truth, you know, this one, half-truth, half-truth. The reason being is because Qadiani went on a developmental journey. Right, and there was, so initially, if you see in 1884, he claimed an open proclamation to be a revivalist and a reformer. So it is true, in his early years, he did not claim any kind of messianic mission or prophethood. So they will show you these books. Okay, so they will say that, look, in these books, he doesn't say that, and that is true. However, 7 years later, he made an announcement stating that he was the promised Messiah. And in 1901, he claimed to be a prophet. He claimed prophethood. And in 1904, he claimed to be Krishna. Krishna, Hari Ram, Hari Krishna, you know, that Krishna. This is nothing to do with Sikhs, by the way. Sikhs, somebody saying something about Sikhs. He's nothing to do with Sikhs. Punjab is a huge region. In fact, a greater part of Punjab is actually in modern day Pakistan. So there's more of Punjab in Pakistan than there is in India today. So Punjab is actually nothing to do with, I mean, obviously there's Sikhs in Punjab, but there's Muslims in Punjab as well. And historically there was our good-looking guest in Punjab as well. So there are, and I accept, look, there may be some Qadianis that haven't accepted Mirza Sahib to be a prophet. There may be some, but the majority of them do. Okay. Now, some claims made by Mirza Ghulam, aka serial killer. Okay, by the way, in his lifetime, he had an addiction to certain drugs. But, hey, I'm not one to judge. Hum judge nahi karte. No, don't judge people. No, don't. Are you judging? Don't judge. We're not judging about the addiction to. He did have some addictions to certain drugs, but no judging, no judging. Right. So what did he say though? What were the claims? He said, an angel comes to him. Right. The angel. He said Jibrail has been renamed as Ail. Ail, not Jibrail. Ail. Said his new name was Ail. And he said, Ail comes to me again and again. This was in his book called Haqiqatul Wahi on page 103. 103, huh? He said, I swear by Allah, saying that these are the words of Allah which were revealed to me. This is in his book Haqiqatul Wahi. People, he said, check this out. In his book Ruhani Khazain, Spiritual Treasures, he said that, and I swear by the Lord that he has placed my name as a Nabi, as a prophet, and he has called me the promised Messiah. In his son's book, Mirza Bashiruddin, he wrote, it is very clear and evident that after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the door of prophethood is still open. Haqiqatun Nabuwa. That was the book. He writes in his Mirza Ghulam Qadiani writes in his book Ruhani Khazain, afterwards revelation kept coming to me as the rain, clearly addressing me as a prophet. These were his words. I'm not saying that. He's saying. In another one of his books, he wrote in Haqiqatul Wahi, I am Adam, I am Noah, I am David, I am Jesus, the son of Mary, and I am Muhammad. These were the words of Ghulam Sahib. Right. So this was in his Haqiqatul Wahi, page 521. 521. Right, okay. In his book, Kashti-e-Nuh, the Ark of Noah. Kashti-e-Nuh, right, this is what he used to call his new Sharia. He used to call his new laws that he's brought, Kashti-e-Nuh, the Ark of Noah. In this he writes, blessed is that person who recognized me. Yeah, of course you're gonna, well, obviously you're gonna be, well, you have to recognize him obviously with that thought he's wearing on his head. Sorry. Keep it academic. Okay, so these are his words, okay? I'm not making any of this up because some people might think I'm making this up. His followers send salatu was salam upon him. So for example, in the books of Al-Fazl al-Qadiani, you have the book of Darood was salam upon him. Yeah, Imam, that they call him the Imam of the creation. As-salatu was salamu alayka, stuff like this. They send that upon him. Okay. In one of his, now in his early years he did write, so in his early books like Kitabul Bariya, he writes anyone who claims to be a prophet after the prophet is cursed. So sometimes Qadianis will show these early things and say, look, he didn't make these claims, but that's in his early years. That is true. He did used to say, I have no claim to prophethood. That is in his book. So in his early years, he did do a lot of this. In Ainai Kamalat, he writes, I am not a prophet, I am an addressee, so somebody who God speaks to. But later on, he does, this is part of his development. So in Kashti-e-Nuh, in the Ark of Noah, he writes, page 47, the mystery is now cleared. He says, this is Christ who is awaited. And in the words of inspiration, it is I who is meant by Mary and Christ. It is about me. So, you know, when the Qadianis say Jesus is not going to come back, they weren't saying it like, you know, when I said, oh, Jesus, I don't believe Jesus is going to come, and other scholars, the great Mashayikh of Al-Azhar and Muhammad Abdu and Rashid Rida and all these great Sheikh Shaltut and Mustafa Maraghi and all these people who didn't believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ, and Abul Kalam Azad and people like Awaidullah Sindhi and Ibn Ashur problematized it, and all these kind of things. All these people, Allama Iqbal, that's because they didn't believe in the messianic vision. We believe that Islam was completed with the Prophet. The reason Qadiani said that, and I understand that many Muslims do believe that Jesus is coming, but the reason why Qadiani said that Jesus Christ is not coming, because he was meant to be Jesus Christ. That's why there was no second Jesus. Now, somebody here is saying, Tasnif Akbar is saying, and I agree with Tasnif, I actually do feel that it wasn't about him lying. I feel that he had mental health issues. I actually do believe this. I'm not saying this as a kind of cuss. I actually feel that he kind of lost the plot, like mentally, internally. And he started to see these things. This is why I don't fault him as much as I fault people who, like, I think, do you really believe in that? That this is God's great solution to mankind, to have a chat with some guy in Punjabi. Oh, and by the way, God spoke to him in other languages as well. God spoke to him in English, and do you know what God said in English? God said in English. Oh, sorry, wrong. Sorry, wrong serial kisser. Do you know when God spoke to him, what God said in English? Because he said God spoke to me in English as well. And in English, he said to me, I love you. I'm not making this up. Yeah, I'm not making this up. He actually said, God spoke to me in English and he said, I love you. I love you, yaar. I love you. That was God's English to him. It really was that God said to him in English, I love you. Yaar, what is God doing? If he's going to intervene, this is not the time to intervene by just having gupshup in Punjabi and just saying I love you in English. There's got to be some other intervention. Right, so okay. Now, by the way, he came out with some verses of the Quran himself. He said about other verses, so he said that certain, in his book Tazkirah Majmu'a Ilhamat, page 281, he wrote that Surah Al-Kawthar, Inna A'taynak Al-Kawthar, was revealed to him. And the verse in Surah Inshirah about لَقَدْ وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, that we have raised your praise, was revealed about him. He said that the verse of the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, we have not sent you except as a mercy for the worlds, was revealed about him. These are in his book Tazkirah Majmu'a Ilhamat, page 281. Then he said there were new verses of the Quran that were revealed to him, like Ahlus Suffa wa ma adraka ma Ahlus Suffa, the people of Suffa, and what do you know about the people of Suffa? You will see their eyes are flowing with tears, and peace and blessings upon you, and so on. And these were new parts of the Quran that came to him. And in another verse, God said, and we have revealed it close to Qadian. That's a verse of the Quran that, according to, it was a new verse of the Quran, that we have revealed it close to Qadian. Yeah. And in another thing, he said as well that, the Masjid al-Aqsa was his mosque in Qadian. And he said on the night journey, the Prophet didn't go to, in the night, what I believe was, and many people believe was a vision, and other Muslims believe was physical, but either way, that where the Prophet went, they said he didn't go to Jerusalem, he went to Pakistan. He went, honestly, I'm not making this up. He says in his book that he went to Pakistan, to Qadian. I mean, it wasn't called Pakistan then, but it was Punjab, that the Prophet traveled to the Punjab in Qadian, and that's where he went to that mosque. And he declared his masjid to be as virtuous as Makkah. And he said that if you don't have money to do Hajj, you can come to his place, his kind of masjid. Now, later on in life, towards the end of his life, he declared himself to be Krishna. And he said that he saw this in a dream, and Hindus prostrating to him and stuff like this. So this is not me, and I do actually believe this is a reflection of his mental health. Right, so I'm not kind of, like he said in Aina Kamalat in page 564, he wrote, I saw in a dream that I am the Lord. I then firmly believed that it was so. In Kitab al-Bariya, page 85, he wrote, I saw in one vision that I am God, and I then firmly believed in it. Bloody, you know that hadith of, indeed, God is beautiful. It gives it a whole new... Okay, I need to behave. Okay, but it gives it a whole new meaning. But anyway, so you can see these are his own writings. So when people say he has not said, he has said these things. In his book Arba'in, page 7, he wrote, what is Sharia? I have given commandments of do's and don'ts, and have prescribed laws for my followers. He writes that my Sharia is named Kashti Nuh, the Ark of Noah. Okay, so this is, as you can see, right, so there are a lot of, and I will actually, what's interesting, I'll tell you about some of the prophecies he made that weren't fulfilled. I mean, obviously they weren't fulfilled, but that kind of came back and people had a go about them at him. So in his time, he made a prophecy that I will live to be 80 years old at least. but he died before that. But yeah, you can't. He tried. His prophecy is that he would marry Muhammadi Begum before his death. They got to say, yaar, he's making prophecies about marriage to Muhammadi Begum. But unfortunately, he never got to marry her. That was another prophecy. He made there was a sheikh of his time called Allama or Maulana Sanaullah Amritsari, who's one of the great sheikhs of the Ahlul Hadith movement, who is also a kind of colleague and a part of the same group of Maulana Inayatullah Gujarati Saab, who later on split. They used to be in Delhi, who went on to teach and say that, for example, the thing about Jesus not coming, and it's his student who is Maulana Abdul Karim al-Athari, who has the tafsir Urwatul Wuthqa, which I often quote from in some of my lessons and stuff. Right, so Maulana or Sheikh Thanaullah Amritsari is one of his major opponents during his lifetime. So he challenged him and took him up to all these debates and everything. And they did a mubahala. So at one point, got to a point where they said, okay, may the curse of God, may the person who's lying die first and whatever. And so he was actually keen on that mubahala and making that oath. But then he unfortunately died. That's hardly the way to do it, is it? But he actually did the same thing with a Christian as well called Dr. Abdul Hakim. And he did a mubahala saying that the liar amongst us will die first. Not to hold these claims to weight, but I'm just saying, but then he died. It just sounds dumb, that's all. Right. He also made revelation that God has revealed to me that he will give me another son before I die. But and God said, no chance. God said, no chance, my friend, no chance. So he never got that. He died without that. His claim that Allah revealed to him that he would marry many more virtuous women. This was a claim made by him, but he didn't marry any more women after that either. He made a prophecy about him marrying a widow. I think he was trying, but this one, no. Then he made a prophecy that he will die in Mecca or Medina. No chance. Yeah, God, can there be no chance? Sorry, there's no chance. So all of these things, unfortunately, he died of cholera, and he got cholera. And in fact, in his earlier things, he said cholera was such a curse from God, but then he got it himself, and he actually died because, not to, obviously because of old age as well, but also because of indigestion and having toilet problems, and his colon and things like that got infected, and he couldn't go to the toilet, and so he just eventually died. Yeah, you're thinking I'm taking the mick. I'm not, yaar. I'm just stating the facts. I'm going with the facts, man. The facts. Okay, take the facts. Okay, just take them. Okay, so for example, Bashir, his son, writes in his biography, my mother informed me that the first attack of looseness, what do you think, like attack as in the British attack, as in the colonial? No, yaar, not the colonial attacks, of looseness of bowels. यहाँ से अटैक हो रहा है वहाँ नहीं यहाँ की फटी हुई है. It's like this हालत खराब. So he said, my mother informed me that the first attack of looseness of bowels upon the promised Messiah occurred when he was at his dining room table. Later I started pressing his legs and he lay in comfort. After a short while, he again felt the call of nature and used the bathroom a couple of times. Then he goes on saying he became very weak and so on. Once again, he had an urge, but he was too weak to go to the lavatory. I made arrangements for him close to his bed. These are all part of his son's in Ruhani Khaza'in, part of his son's biography of him. And I'm not making this up, people. I don't make this up, Hari Ram, serial kisser. Meri ye majal. I have no I have no right to make anything up. So, and then you have his doctor, for example, his final, he writes as well that Huzur could not talk 2 hours before death. Dr. Mirza Yaqub Beg and Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Husal Shah were the attending physicians. Huzur asked for paper and wrote on it, I have too much dryness, I can't talk, and said some other words which could not be read. Chalo, at least I know, because obviously loose motion ho gaya, loose motion. So these were some of the things that obviously Hazrat over here Hazrat Saab. Yeah, people behave people, right? So that he had, and the thing is that in his right, in his final days, you can see his stomach. He had too many loose motions, as you can see there. Oh, blaming good-looking fella there. Look at that, people. Right, so Hari Ram, smart Hari Ram, serial kisser. You know, this is the. So anyway, so this is the story. So look, this is the background of, and I actually genuinely believe that he was, that Hari Ram Sahib, Hazrat, was actually mentally unstable. So I think it's really more surprising. So I don't find sometimes his things as surprising as I find that of his followers that so passionately follow him. I'm thinking, come on, seriously, you acting, you really believe that God used to say, I love you to behave? Can you imagine the angel that came to give the message, and then it got to him, and it's like, sure, this is, यार यही वाला है या वो यही वाला है यार, इनसे I love you बोलना है. Right, so the thing, so anyway, yeah, it's कोई बात नहीं यार, all is fair in love and war, in love and war, you know, love and war. Right, so anyway, so this is, so my message is that, look, these things are legitimate, that he actually said these claims. And you know, the early Qadianis were actually very extreme, that they were declaring the rest of Muslims kafir. So this is why then the rest of the Muslims reacted harshly against them. And I don't justify and I condemn any persecution of them. I condemn that. But I'm being honest, look, just playing the victim card all the time is just nonsense. Right? Like, you get, so for example, I said to somebody, because I took the mick out of, because they were cussing me, so I took the mick out of this. So somebody said to me, oh, you support killing Qadian, you support terrorism. I thought, what? Are you even listening to yourself? Like, can you stop being such a drama queen? That, look, yes, I am against, and I think most Muslims are against any persecution of anybody. But the truth is that by saying that, oh, saying things like this is not part of Islam, is not an act of that's just freedom of speech. They have the freedom of speech to criticize Islam and say these things, that God sent him, and the Prophet came to Punjab and God said, I love you to him, and all these kind of things. That's freedom of speech. And we have the freedom of speech to criticize that and say, well, that's just a joke. I mean, why would God be busy saying I love you to some guy in Punjabi and in English? I mean, you know, that just doesn't add up. So it doesn't mean that, oh, just because you're against, so some people would say, oh, but if you don't declare them Muslim, then that adds to the persecution. No, it doesn't. Because look, Christians are also persecuted, which wrongly persecuted sometimes in Muslim countries. It doesn't mean now you have to say every Christian is a Muslim. If you go on the Qadiani websites, I went on their websites, they very clearly themselves condemn homosexuals. They say homosexuals are sinners. That's what they say. Even though they say that, look, we're not against, they say that we're not homophobic, but they say homosexuals are sinners. I would say calling homosexuals sinners is then contributing to the persecution of homosexuals. So why don't you call homosexuals non-sinners and just, you know, call them blessed and call them like, so, you know, why is it you're only playing that game with us Muslims? And by the way, they troll other Muslims. This is what I was just shocked about. They were trolling me, for God's sake. They trolled me for days on end. I couldn't believe it. I was like shocked. Anyway, I was shocked with the... So that was my... So anyway, people, I think we've gone on quite a bit. I think the gym session is calling me. But I thought I'd introduce you to our guest today, Ghulam Hariram, Smart Hariram, serial kisser, Qadiani Sahib. Right, so, so look, obviously he had, I think, issues. So, anybody who has mental health, may Allah make things easy for them. We obviously sympathize with these things. But if they don't have mental health, but they just have confidence, like our smart Hariram, serial kisser, what confidence, yaar, what confidence. That's the confidence I want in life, honestly. That's the confidence. Right, people, with that, I'm going to leave you to it. Have an awesome time. Till next week, any issues, reach out to me, inshallah. Take very good care of yourselves. Stay blessed, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Stay awesome.